All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is January 13th, Friday. We got ourselves a Friday the 13th. We got a bunch of NBA games on the NBA slate tonight. We're going to go into each and every game like we always do. I'll give you my lean. I'll give you what I'm thinking. We'll talk about the game. But if you want to fade my picks, if you want to ride with my picks, my final plays will be in the pinned comment like they always are in the pinned comment down below. So make sure to check that out, guys. They're always updated by game time. But yeah, we got a bunch of NBA games on the slate tonight. Last night, we ended up going 1-0 in our final picks. We had the Bucks plus 6.5. We knew it was a lock. Absolute lucky. No Giannis, no problem. They lose by 6 points. We just barely cover. We also had our ride of the day coming in from Zolt Borza. I apologize if I'm botching that name, but Zolt Borza had the Cleveland Cavs minus 2.5. They do cover that. We jumped on board with that one, so Cavs minus 2.5 was another winner for last night, guys. If you want to be the ride of the day, all you got to use is hashtag ride of the day in the comments, and you guys will give me a lock. And you guys will get a shout out in the next video, win or loss. So make sure to drop that hashtag ride of the day. You guys can be like Borza in the comments, and you guys will be getting a shout out if you do win. If you lose, you might have to face the womp womp if we have the soundboard, the womp womp womp. If not, you guys, catch that win. You guys get a shout out there. But we do have a couple NBA games on the slate tonight. We're going to jump into each and every one. We're starting it off with the Pacers taking on the Hawks. We're here. The Pacers 3-point dogs at home. Total is not official as of yet, as we're looking at the spread. But I will say, this Pacers team has been kind of on fire against the spread here. In their last 10 games here, 7-2-1 against the spread. When they are at home, 5-0-1 in their last 6 against the spread. And you know what we call the Hawks? We call the Hawks on the road the Atlanta Pigeons. The Hawks on the road. You already know. The first thing we're doing is looking at them and saying, you know what? What can they do? I don't think they do much here. Trae Young out with illness last game. They catch the loss to the Bucks. It was a close game. Trae Young maybe could have changed that, but Trae Young is still questionable for this game. Clint Capella has been out for a while here. For Indiana, they do have a bunch of injuries here. Tyrese Halliburton left last game. I think it was in the third quarter with an injury, but nonetheless, we are fading the Hawks in this one. I think it's a decent amount of points to give. We're going to lean the Pacers here, plus the points. In terms of a total, don't love anything on this game yet, but I think Indiana at home, we're going to lean getting the points here. If that becomes the final play, make sure to check out on the pinned comment there. I don't necessarily think this is like a, 65-70% confident play, so I don't know if this becomes a final play. It's more or less we're fading the Atlanta Pigeons on the road. Moving on, we got the Pistons here. Getting 5 points at home against the Pelicans. Pelicans have a bunch of injuries to deal with, as they have for the last few games here. Brandon Ingram out. He has been out for a while. Zion Williamson out. He has been out for a while as well. Detroit, Marvin Bagley still out here. Isaiah Stewart missed last game. He's questionable coming into this game. And then Jalen Duren, who has been a big factor at the big position for the Pistons, he's downgraded to out here. It is a questionable spot for them, but I think that CJ McCollum and the Pelicans, as much as I'd love Zion and Brandon Ingram to play, I do think that this is a fair number for them here. New Orleans -5 is the play. In terms of a total here, 232.5. I don't mind the under. I think this could be a sloppy game. So I'm going to lean Pelicans -5 points and the under 232.5. Moving on, we have the Wizards here catching a couple points. 4-point dogs at home on their own floor against the New Orleans Knicks. We're stuck on the same game. The New York Knicks here. Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson, they're doing their thing, but in their last 10 games, not playing terribly, but not as well as we'd have thought against spread. 5-5 against spread. When they're on the road, though, they are stepping up. 3-1 in their last 4 games against the spread. It does kind of conflict with the Washington Wizards. 3-1 in their last 4 at home against the spread. This one's going to come down to what team is trending in what direction, and I am going to lean towards Knicks here. I think they have the firepower. I think they have both the offensive and defensive ability to beat this Washington team, who's going to be without Bradley Beal, Kristaps Porzingis, Monte Morris, Daniel Gafford, Vernon Carey Jr., and Johnny Davis. Johnny Davis, who cares about him? But all those other aforementioned guys, all questionable tonight. Whether they play or not, I do think the Knicks are the healthier and better team. We're going to lean the Knicks here. Minus the points. I think that 4 points is a doable number for them. In terms of a total, we don't have much of a play either side. All right, moving on. Spurs, 8-point dogs on their own floor against the Warriors here. Spurs have been up and down the season. Obviously, they haven't been as great as you'd think as of late. But in their last 10 games, 8-2 against the spread. Now, what's crazy is that differs from their last 10 games straight up. They're 3-7 straight up in their last 10 games, but 8-2 against the spread. Now they're at home tonight. They're 8-0 or 5-0, 5-0 in their last 5 games against the spread. They're catching a decent amount of points here against the Warriors. Now Warriors just getting healthy. Klay Thompson not on the injury report. Steph Curry, who's missed multiple weeks with the shoulder injury, he is now coming back. That being said, you think I'm leaning Spurs here. This Warriors team getting all their guys back. Losing to Phoenix. A Phoenix team that had no Devin Booker, no Cam Payne, no Cam Johnson, no Chris Paul, no nobody and their grandmother. Last game, that Phoenix team beat the Warriors. If you don't think the Warriors are coming out fired up and healthy, you are crazy. I'm leaning the Warriors here, minus the 8 points. I know the Spurs have been on fire against the spread, but they have not been great overall. So I'm going to lean the Warriors here, minus the 8 points. Steph gets it going. Klay gets going. Draymond does his thing. They have to come out fired up after last game here. The total is 238.5. You guys know we have the 240 rule as of right now. Any game that gets near 240, we're leaning under. I've seen a couple sports books at 240.5. That tells me that this game is getting to that point. So guess what we're doing? We're leaning the under. Moving on, we got the Bulls taking on the Thunder. Thunder on a back-to-back here. Bulls 6-point favorites at home, and I don't hate the number. The Bulls at home in their last 6 games, 4-1-1 against the spread. The Thunder in their last 4, only 2-2 against the spread on the road here. Obviously, they're playing good basketball. They beat the Sixers outright last night here, 133-114. But this Bulls team covering in 4 of their last 5 games here. They didn't cover against Washington. They had a couple injuries to deal with. DeMar DeRozan, yeah, it's a big blow. But I do think that 5 points is not, or 6 points is not a lot to ask for when you have a Bulls team that's well within their capability to cover this game. And then you have the Thunder on a back-to-back. So I'm going to look at Zach LaVine, Vucevic, who kind of, diminished a lot of people's expectations last game with how he played. I think he bounces back. I think Zach LaVine bounces back. We're going Bulls here, minus the 6 points, strictly because we're fading the Thunder. I know we call them the rumbling covering Thunder, but on a back-to-back in a game they just skeeved out, I don't see him doing it twice back-to-back here, so I'm only in the Bulls. All right, Timberwolves here, 2.5-point favorites against the Suns. This Suns team, like we said, with everybody and their second siblings missing from the game, they still somehow beat the Warriors last time out. They are 2.5-point dogs here on the road, taking on the Timberwolves. Timberwolves have plenty of injuries to deal with. Mainly noting is going to be Karl-Anthony Towns, who is still out with that calf injury. Kyle Anderson, questionable here. Anthony Edwards, he's been on and off the injury report, for 3 games or so? He is questionable with a hip injury. And then for the Suns, Chris Paul downgraded to out. Jay Crowder, he's been out all season long. Devin Booker out. Cam Payne out. Landry Shamet out. DeAndre Ayton, questionable. Cam Johnson out here. This game is only coming down to a 2.5-point spread for the Timberwolves. We're going to lean the Timberwolves here, strictly speaking, because this Suns team just won last game, but also has everyone injured. Long pause there. Timberwolves I mean, they're due for a win here. This Suns team just kind of encroached upon their, oh my God, we had no one playing. Let's win this game. Not even close to 2 games in a row. If that's 2 games in a row, then I'm a dummy here. But, we're dummies plenty enough. Let's move on here. We got the Jazz hosting the Mavericks. Magic. Same thing. Jazz hosting the Magic here. Jazz 6-point favorites. Total sitting at 233 in this one. I like the under right away. These two teams yet to play this season. Last 10 games, this Utah team, we've talked about in videos. A team we backed early on in the year. They have stunk out loud as of late. This Magic team also coming back to earth. I hate to do it to you guys, but this is a garbage game. Garbage game. We have no play. I don't have a strong feeling on this game. We're going to punt it away. Like I said, I like the under, but nothing much more in this game. All right, Clippers. 22-21 taking on the 28-13 Nuggets here. Total right now is Denver minus a half of a point. I have a feeling this game changes a little bit. Denver's going to be favored by at least 1.5 points. So we're going to go with that mindset heading in here. Early January, this was a stomping 122-91 for the Nuggets here. And I'm just going to go with trends. This Nuggets team's playing good basketball. I'm going to lean towards them. Jokic questionable for this game. I think that we obviously wait for that to come through. But if Jokic is a go, then I'm going on the Nuggets side of things. Paul George, I believe, downgraded to questionable. I have a feeling he's not playing in this game. So if you can get Denver at a minus a half point, I think you pull the trigger. I think the more realistic line for this is going to be minus 1.5. Or if anything comes final, minus 2.5 or something like that. But I like Denver in this game. They've shown they can match up well and can beat this team. So I'm going to lean Denver in this one. In terms of a total, not much in this empty brain as of right now. Last pick, we got the Kings taking on the Rockets here. Kings 10-point favorites, which makes a little bit of sense, right? They're the better team playing the Rockets. 3 nights ago, winning the game by 20 points. Makes sense, why the Kings are favored here. This Rockets team seemingly has given up on basketball. Kevin Huerter, one of the better scorers on that Kings team, upgraded to questionable. So if he plays in this game, I am going to lean the Kings. I don't love it. This Kings team has been exceptional against the spread. We called them the covering Kings, 3 weeks ago? They're not the covering Kings anymore. They're up and down, roller coaster ride of a covering team. So we're going to lean the Kings here with not too much weight. In terms of total, 230, 135. We're going to go the over. 235. We're going to lean the under there, guys. I do think that this game could get sloppy. I know last game, these two teams put up a bunch of points, but I will say that was the Kings holding their weight here. 115 last time Houston played the Kings here, which is 3 nights ago? Yeah, I like under 230. It was 239 or 235, excuse me. That's where we're going to lean. I don't know if the Kings become a final play, but keep an eye on the pin comment, guys. That is how we're going to lean. And yeah, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.